People deluded. I'm back again. We can't be here long, folks. I'm in my lunch break. I'm using my lunch break wisely to speak about Arsenal. And what better way to speak about Arsenal than with my good friend Curtis Shaw? How you doing? Apart from catching my shirt, how we doing?
Come on, man. Hey, this wasn't planned either, you know.
I had to be the first. I want people to know I was first. I was first in the stream, so we have to go. It was my
All right, we'll give it you first then, innit? Everything's good, man. Good to see you again, bro. We have to make this a more regular thing, innit?
Yeah, man. We told people we're trying and we try. And I mean, it's been a bit random and a bit off the cuff now and things. And I think even right now, I'm doing it a disservice. I should be putting it on Twitter. But we're trying, man. We're two working men. Like I said, I'm using my lunch break. It's not always possible, but yeah, like you said, man, we need to head over to your channel as well because we've got two on mine. We need to run a couple on yours.
We'll mix it up, man. It's on mine. We'll just keep working, man.
How's the weekend been for you recently? Because it's been a bit of, I won't go as far as to say whirlwind of a weekend, but you know, if we spoke about it, we wouldn't have thought Raul Sanllehi would have actually left. We're seeing developments about Aubameyang, which we're going to get on to later. How are you feeling about Arsenal right now, man, after the weekend and everything?
Do you know what? I'm quite happy with it, man. Like, obviously, it is a whirlwind. Like, the Sanllehi one came out of nowhere, but you know, Raul tried to make us swim with the sharks, man. I don't think we're ready for that just now. So, you know, go back to what works for us, man. So I don't mind, you know, and if Aubameyang's committing, he must see a vision there that he feels like he can work with. So I think it was all right, man. We move, innit? We move.
That's all we can say, and I'm happy you mentioned Aubameyang. You know, we've got to cover that first thing. That's the reason I brought you here. I mean, you're a big fan of Aubameyang. You're probably the leader of the Aubameyang must play through the middle brigade. What's your feelings? Because on one hand, it's more of the same in that, you know, we've been hearing Aubameyang new deal, 3-year deal, but it seems to be it's accelerated a bit now. We've got a bit somewhere with it, and it seems to be a case of when, not if. And we might see an announcement this week. We might see it next week, depending on when they return. What does that signal tell you for the club, and what does that tell you about Aubameyang and the club in general in relation to this new deal?
I think it's a big move, man. Because how many times have we been here before? Like, you know, Van Persie, Fabregas, all them man rolling out the club. So to see Aubameyang commit, I think it's a little bit of a turning point. Like, when's the last time Arsenal's best player renewed his contract? Like, Sanchez never signed a new deal. Like, these man all one contract and left. So I'm hoping it's a turning point, man. And I think, you know, I see someone putting there about Aubameyang on the left because I'm always moaning about it. But when you look at his goal record, he is producing out there. So for argument's sake, I can see why people will say, yeah, cool, he don't need to play through the middle. I just think he could score even more if he was through the middle, if you had two wingers who were creative as well and maybe a number 10 who was creative. But if he stays out there, then cool, innit? Like, with Tierney as well at left back, I think maybe they might have a good little partnership out there.
And for me, what does it tell you? After all, what does Aubameyang signing a new deal tell you for the club? I know you mentioned turning point, but has he been told more things that would happen? Because, you know, there is a lack of clarity between those upstairs and, you know, in terms of the playing staff we have. So has he been briefed on what we're trying to do as a club? Was he, you know, if Joorabchian is coming out and talking about structural changes that are coming vaguely, surely the players in that structure know what the club are trying to do. So was Aubameyang given not only assurances about transfers, but was he given assurances, you know, Arteta was going to get more power? And as you know, it's a dream as a manager to be able to sign your own players and all of these sort of things. So do you think he's been told something that indirectly, or that we're doing something different?
Yeah, he must have, because, you know, if you're Aubameyang 31, you got to look here and think, yo, if I'm going to commit my last contract to this club, I need to know the direction they're going in. I think Arteta was very, you know, when you watch like Pep Guardiola, he wants control. He's a bit of a control freak in that sense. So I feel like Arteta would have been cut from the same cloth. Like, listen, man, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it my way. We heard Unai Emery saying, I wanted this player, that player. I was given different players. Arteta's probably looking at it like, yo, if I'm going to make this work, it's got to happen under my leadership. I can't be given players by Sanllehi and this, that, the other. So I think Aubameyang seems to believe in Arteta. You know, even when we won the FA Cup, he put the picture up like my manager and them things. You don't often see players do that, you know?
You don't do that unless they truly believe, man. It's not deeper than PR.
So I feel like he's got a lot of belief in Arteta and the direction. I think, as I said before, I think we're kind of fortunate that a few of the bigger clubs are probably leaving Aubameyang alone, because if a Real Madrid or Barcelona was offering money for him, maybe he wouldn't have signed the deal. But it's fallen nicely to us, man. I think it sends out a big signal even to potential new signings that, look, man, we got a manager who's young, he's creative, he knows the direction. Our best player is going to commit. We've won a trophy. We're moving in the right direction, man. And as we saw last night, Man United, it ain't always easy to win these trophies. You know what I mean?
you couldn't resist a little dig.
I couldn't resist, man. Go on, man.
I was trying to be diplomatic and be nice with these things, but it's always nice. I mean, United are fair play. They've got Champions League and that, but, you know, we're laughing at that. This guy on the screen, I forgot to ask this, bro, DG, why didn't you think Aubameyang would sign? Can you blame me, bro? He was doing a Mazzolini for us. We're not moving in the right direction. I didn't even think we'd sign Aubameyang, so I definitely was pessimistic. He renewed the deal, but I'm glad to be wrong. I want Aubameyang to stay. As much as I believe in Saka and all these players for tomorrow, we need man right now. And Aubameyang, Willian, David Luiz, you know, these sort of people that are Ozil, even on paper, these sort of players that are past 30-ish. We need players for tomorrow, regardless of what I believe, man. So it is what it is in that regards. Do you think Aubameyang is going to keep playing through the on the left next season? Especially with Willian being signed, you know, Martinelli to come back being fit. Saka, we know he's a winger long term and he can play out there. You know, what do you think we'll do, man? We've still got the young Nelson. Do you think he's still going to stay on the left?
I'm not sure, you know, because although he's produced numbers, I'm seeing Lacazette getting linked with Juventus quite a lot. Like, I think there could be something in that. And I feel like if Arsenal get offered a decent amount of money for Lacazette, I think they might let him go, to be honest. If Lacazette stays, then maybe Aubameyang stays on the left. But I think if Lacazette was sold, I think, because how can you convince Saka to sign a new deal if Aubameyang's playing on the left? Where's Saka going to play? He's not going to play left back over Tierney or left wing over Aubameyang. So, and Martinelli as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Aubameyang is moved central, but it depends if Lacazette goes or not.
Do you think he'll go?
If Juventus make a decent offer, I think he'll go. Yeah, I think if a club makes a decent offer for him, they'll let him go, because he's 28, 2 years left. You got to renew his deal or sell him.
Give him a big contract as well.
And would you give Lacazette a big contract right now on the back of 10 league goals? I'm not sure. You know, I don't think I would. You know.
Not for the, you know, it's not my money, and I've got all credit for Lacazette, and he's a great option in the squad. Like we said last time, you know, the work rate, the hold-up play, these things are all underestimated. But, you know, that's a squad player. I expect that. And it's like when you're talking about the money Lacazette probably wants, or what we demand of Lacazette from our side, he's a great player, he's a big game player. But when you look at it without emotions, there's a genuine debate to be had to whether he stays or go. I'd like Lacazette to stay. I think we need problems. Like you touched on it indirectly when you mentioned where's Saka going to play. I personally feel we need these problems. Is it going to be Saka? Is it going to be Willian? Is it Nelson? Is it Pepe? I think we need these issues, my guy, man. You know, there's not been enough of that. There's really not been enough of that. Guy on the screen has said, do you guys rate Hossam Auba? I mean, you know, I've been watching him for a number of years. I would love that guy to come to Arsenal. I rate him. I think he's got world-class potential. I think it's down to him how good he wants to be, and you saw how good he was against City, but that's my opinion.
No, I agree with you, brother. I mean, he bossed that game, didn't he, in midfield? And apparently Leon are willing to sell him if we pay the money. But again, this is Arsenal, man. Can they?
How much is that for you? How much is the money for you?
Was they saying like 40 or 50 million, something like that? So
oh yeah, I'm down, man. If I'm Leon, I'm trying to say 50, 60, man. I know COVID plays a part and the financial impact that's having on clubs, but I'm saying 50, 60, and that probably works in their favor, man. You look at obviously Upamecano, he signed a new deal. Did he sign a new deal for the sake of it, or was it okay? The market isn't looking like anyone's going to go for me right now. I'll respect you lot. Obviously, you're not going to put a bit more bob in my pocket. You lot can get a higher release clause, sort of thing. So that might work in our favor. But we spoke about this before. You heard talk of money and Guendouzi. Now, as the face of that, depending on the finances, that's a decent deal. In fact, that could potentially be beneficial for Lyon, because you imagine 30 million and Guendouzi for him. You know, Guendouzi will probably turn into a £50 million player. So you probably got got about 80 million there. You've got another project, but allegedly they said they don't want another midfielder. They want straight cash, and it's a bit like the Partey thing. Are we going to front up the cash for both Aura and Partey and give Ceballos a renewal of his loan spell and Aubameyang's new contract? You know, on one hand, Arsenal should have the finances to do so, but all the propaganda we see in relation to Arsenal is finances, wage cost, redundancies. On one hand, that is streamlining and stuff you hear, but have we got the money to make it stretch this far? Only time will tell, my guy, man.
That's it, innit, bro? And you look at like, there's so many players in our team we need to get rid of. And you're thinking to yourself, who's going to buy Socrates? Who's going to buy Kolasinac? Like, these men are difficult to sell, bro. You know what I mean?
But do you know what? Do you know what smacks it with these man? Yeah, is we've managed to put them on inflated wages. So even if you're gonna, I don't like to talk about finances, but it's business. Take my Arsenal fan cap off. If I'm looking and I'm thinking, you know what, Socrates, he's a bit old, but man can find a 1 year, 2 year plan for him. Oh, I'm not giving him however many bags a week he is. I swear he's almost on 80 or something like that.
Yeah.
That to him, you know, we've got two. You know, El Nene, he's on about 50. This is the thing. Kolasinac, he's on 100. I know in the grand scheme of football, 100 isn't anything right now, but that is a lot of money for your. If you was even to be harsh and consider Saka's ability to play there, he's probably your third choice left back right now.
Yeah,
you know,
cool.
We've got a third choice left back on 100 bags. We've got Mesut Ozil, who, regardless of your opinion on him, he's not in the FA Cup. He's not in the squad for the final, and he's on 350. So it's these mismanagement of finances. So I'm not too sure what we can do, bro.
Yeah, I think our back's against the wall a little bit, bro. Because like you said, 100k is not massive money in the grand scheme of things in football. But for the level of clubs that would want Kolasinac, they're not going to want to pay him 100k. It's not like Real Madrid want him. He's going to get, you know, maybe a mid-table team in Germany or Italy or something. So these guys are very difficult to sell, man. And
wages and transfer fees. Mad.
That's it, brother. I mean, look at you know, we can't get El Neni off the books. We can't get Mkhitaryan. Like, we're having to do deals. Say,
having to beg man to take him for free. Like,
yeah, just take him. We don't want him.
Like, literally. Man. Please, man, we'll pay you to take him. Sort of.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's crazy, bro.
And the thing is, like, how many like players in the side do you see like could bring in real value? Now I say real value, I mean, can they bring in, by our standards, a 10, 15, you know? Bear in mind, we've got decent money for Iwobi. It's like there's not too many. Who would it be for you? Like players that could bring in some sort of respectable figure.
I'm looking at the likes of, I think Torreira's sellable. I think there's a little bit of hype around him in Italy. I think he would go to Italy if a certain club came in. You could get a 30 for him, maybe 25, 30. I think Lacazette, you would get something for him, which again, I wouldn't really want to sell him because if Aubameyang gets injured, who plays up front? Is it Nketiah? I don't think you can rely on him. But realistically, someone would take him. Bellerin, I think you could sell. Someone would buy him on a high.
For Bellerin,
how much? I mean,
bearing in mind, 50 million was rejected once upon a time. I don't think anybody's touching 50 million for Bellerin.
I think you're looking to get 30 for him now. If you got, you know what? If you offered me 30 for him, I'm taking it.
I'm entertaining it. I can't lie. I love Bellerin, but it's like, I need to remove my emotion as an Arsenal fan and just look at what man are bringing to the table. Bellerin's had a massive injury and things like that, and I'm cutting him the courtesy of one more year. You know, Arteta, a year can do a lot for you, but it's like you're not seeing anything. It's like I should be saying with Bellerin, we should be shamelessly as Arsenal fans saying, like we have done, you know, Bellerin is better than Wan-Bissaka, he's better than Trent. We know, you know, Arsenal fans, we're shameless. We can't even get that one because we know in our hearts that Bellerin one's dead. It's like sometimes I look at Bellerin, I'm like, he looks like he's turned a new corner. He's looking mad, but sometimes he's not. It's just a consistency level. Again, because of the injury, it could have been a thing, man. But I'm definitely listening for 30 mil, man. So you said Laka, Bellerin, Torreira.
I mean, maybe could you get Holding? Could you get a little money for him?
English, 2 million. Everything's a profit. Everything's a profit.
I think someone would take Holding, a mid-table Prem team. Chambers is back.
Do you know? I want to keep him, and I want to keep him. You know, not when I say keep him, I mean if an offer comes like a 20, we get our bread back from Southampton. Then you know, I'm accepting it. Chambers, it's down to you if you want to go there. But I think Chambers, he looked all right this season. He looked all right when Arteta played him against Chelsea. And obviously, he's unfortunate with this injury because he's going to come back and the dynamic at centre-half is going to change. Or I'd like to think it's going to change because we need some clarity over these defensive positions, man. As you know, there's bare man in defence. No one's glaringly obvious as the chance to be the first choice. At best, it's the best of a bad bunch. Some man scream Mustafi's the guy, obviously with his form. Some man, remember Socrates had a decent bit of form. Louise is up and down, but we all know the fact is all three of them just aren't at it, man. So who else goes?
Do you know the funny thing? You're talking about the centre backs here. Honestly, I don't rate one centre back at Arsenal. Not one of them. Like, I'm actually thinking about them now. I'm like, Louise, no. Mustafi, Socrates, Chambers, Holding. I view them all as like the same player. They all lack pace. They've all got a mistake in them. You isolate them against someone tricky and quick, they get done. I literally don't rate them. Bellerin as well. Bellerin, for me, I look at Bellerin, I think, as a fullback, what's he good at? The amount of times I see Bellerin in crossing position, he can't cross. He can't cross a ball to save his life, bro. And defensively, I've seen Richarlison, I see all these man ripping. Even Southampton, I see Redmond, they was targeting him. Like, nah, Bellerin for me, the only defender I really, really rate at Arsenal is Kieran Tierney. That is it. Even Pablo Mari, like, I'm not going to make the full judgment of him, but what I've seen of him, I'm like, I don't know. That man looks hella slow, bro.
You see, with me, with Marie, I'm just hoping with Marie. And again, anything's a bonus beyond this. With Marie, I can't really judge him because I ain't seen too much tough. In the minutes you played against City and have played, you look like you got an issue with pace. But I'm just hoping him to be a good squad player. Europa League, can we count on you? I'm not looking at Marie to be the first choice. I just want to know when you step in, can you do a thing? And surely he can't be worse than what we've got. Yeah. And I won't lie, next season, when he does get his opportunity, the jury will be out because we knew it was going to be made a permanent, but just on the basis of he came for loan and it's been made permanent, like Cedric Suarez. And really, if we was to be harsh and not consider the variables, both players shouldn't be official members of this side. So I'm looking at them with scrutiny. You mentioned not rating centre halves. You mentioned the defensive uncertainties. So yeah, man, that's a good look. We'll obviously get onto your question, Jack, man. It's there for a reason. But is there anyone else that goes for you?
Mustafi goes for me. I think he finished the season well enough that you might be able to scrape a bid for him from somewhere.
His injury flips it.
That's the thing. I mean, and he's on good wages as well. So again, difficult to sell. And then, your Kolasinac, your Socrates, I think you'll be lucky to sell them guys. To me, you probably get them out on loan for a year and hope someone covers some of their wages. I can't see anyone buying them, man.
And it's like, even like you said, we mentioned Socrates' wages. I remember, for me as a fan, it looks like Socrates' language has changed because I remember before the COVID, he was saying, I never want to play somewhere I'm not offered a chance. I'll think about my situation, blah, blah, blah. This has come, and fair enough, it's not been him, but his agent has said he's happy. Again, things can change. He might believe in Arteta, but I'm looking at that I think Socrates wants to leave, but he's looking at it as, boy, it comes down to no one else is paying my wages. I've got a year left with COVID, with the age I'm at. Can I afford to really give up these wages like that? I mean, I'm not going to die if I don't, but could it be worth staying? So it's like, it's no issue to stay. And the only reason they will leave is if it comes down to a pride thing.
And this is the thing, bruv. Like, you've hit the nail on the head there. There's so many players who are at Arsenal and they're sitting there going, do you know what? I want to go and play football, but I'm going to chill. And I believe Mesut Ozil's in that same category, bruv. They're making business decisions. They're going, with the pandemic, money's tight. Clubs aren't knocking on my door. I'm on 350 or I'm on 80. I'm on 100. I'm 32. I'm not really playing. I'm going to chill for a year because...
Yeah, I'm going to chill.
If you're Mesut Ozil now, as much as Arsenal are leaving him out and they're saying they want to get rid of him, Mesut Ozil, in my opinion, will play for Arsenal next season because if he's still at the club, they're going to have to involve him at some stage.
You're wasting your money. And we're not rich like that to be having 350 men do what they want. That's for me, bro. It's like, you know what? Let's just play the man. Like, it is what it is. We've signed the contract. we learn from this when it gets past it, but just play the man in some capacity. It doesn't have to be a regular, but it has to be used, because we're shagging ourselves in the foot. When some people say 23's football and all of that is dead, because we're still gonna have to pay the wages. How does it benefit us? At least if he's an option on the bench or option around the team, he's someone there for Arteta to use at his disposal, whether he wants to or not. We haven't got that luxury, and for me, I agree with you. He will be playing here until his contract ends, unless something dramatically changes. It will be a miracle. I've got nothing against Ozil as a player. It's just clearly the team needs a divorce from Mesut, because there's too much sidelines. You know, it just what it is. It is what it is in football. But there's too many variables, which is why he stays. And to be honest, you can't be begrudged for staying. Like I said, when a player last time we spoke, when a player wants to leave and a club says you got to stay, obviously it's different, but they get on with it. When it's the other way around now, and the club wants a player to go, but he just says, I want to train, I want to play for Arsenal, I want to do this, I want to do that, and the third, it's something else. So for me, it's a bit rules of one and then half of the other sort of thing. 6 of one, half of the other. So I don't know, man. It's like him. Do you want? How do you feel about the young players? Because I've noticed, like, you've allowed the young players sort of with the selling talk and things. So is there any you would keep and stay and sell and or flirt with the idea of going? What's it like for you? Like, obviously you've got Nelson, Emil, Maitland, Joe, and the rest of them. Eddie, who probably should sign a new deal, contracted until 2022. What's your feelings in that regards?
So I'm looking at Ainsley. I would like to keep him. I think there's a talent there. The problem is the position thing. I feel like in the middle of the park, I'm not sure whether he's fully convinced Arteta. And every time, you know what? I think Ainsley's a better right back from what I've seen. That's just my opinion. Smith Rowe, I'm looking forward to him coming back. He's had a season out on loan. I feel like, he was at Huddersfield, who struggled this season. He would have learned a lot from that.
How to battle with that.
Which is what I wanted Eddie to do, which I was kind of disappointed that loan didn't work out at Leeds, because I felt like under Bielsa, a very good coach, he could have learned a lot. For me, I look at Eddie and I feel like he's not quite ready yet, to be honest. I see
what particular part of his game are you not convinced with yet?
It's kind of like, when the ball's in the box and chances are being created, he comes to light. He looks like, he can do something. It's when our back's against the wall and he's got to pin people and hold it and bring people into play. I don't think he's that good at that. I think that's where Lacazette does come into play. Link-up play. And then, when you've got Aubameyang and Pepe running off you. So in that sense, I think he's a little bit lightweight for me. I still think Eddie might need a loan. Nelson,
experience in developing.
Yeah, just a little bit more. Do you know Joe Willock? He's one who really irritates me, because I look at Willock and at times I think I really see a player there, when he's driving through the middle and things like that. But the end product, again, a little bit. I think sometimes the gap nowadays between under 23s and first team is so big. It's like if you've come out of under 23s and then you come into the Premier League, you have to literally adapt to a whole new way of playing football. And I feel like when I watch Joe Willock, I see a player that you haven't played enough first team football, and maybe he needs a loan as well. But I think they'll keep him around because we haven't got great options in midfield.
On the midfield, yeah.
Again, Nelson, I was excited to watch him at the start of the season. I really thought
you made a great point about Joe, bro. A good point about Joe, because you're making me deep. It's like it kind of articulates what I'm saying. I feel Joe is better in the pivot. He's better with the game in front of him. I feel it's a psychological thing with Joe, because chances always come, and you shouldn't always think about chances, but for want of a better word, he can be pretty nonchalant. And I think that's still the under 23 sort of mindset. Like, you need to really understand if I'm scoring. And for me, cut Joe some slack, because listen, 3 different managers have played him in that 10 position. They know more about football than me. There must be a reason. But for me, when I look at Joe, a bit of it that's not his role. But I'm like, you've played enough times now in that role. You should know, or at least be showing building blocks to know. Get on the half turn, pull out, make little spaces, I mean, whatever people say about Ozil knows how. I'm not saying to play him. Ozil knows how to do that. You've got Ozil in training. Like, are you not learning from this and asking what you should do? So I'm looking at you now. What more are you doing beyond training with the first team? What extra work are you doing? Because I'm not seeing significant improvement. For Joe, I think Joe's one of them, man. He's a bit like, it's like Maitland. It's like they can be good squad additions. I mean, I think Saka's the only one that can be special, and I'm a fan of Nelson still. But it's that. I think with Eddie, you was a striker, so I agree with everything you said. But I think I think I've seen an improvement in Eddie. I agree with what you said about I need to see more and the hold up play and the goal scoring. But I think in a way, his lead spell has been disappointing. He didn't play, but I think training in that environment with Bielsa has kind of got through to him because he does look a bit stronger physically. I just feel I share what you say. I think, for me, he's a squad player because he's shown he can score some goals. He's shown he can go through patches of form. Credit where due, he took Lacazette out. But I just think when you look at it, and he's had barely real first team sort of minutes since the restart, but he's not scoring enough. And I think, like you said, you're a striker. It's about what you live and die by goals, but it's what you're doing when you're not scoring. And I don't feel he currently offers anything more to be on the squad player. But you mentioned Nelson, bro. What's your feelings on Nelson? You keeping, you selling, you loaning out? What's your opinions on that and him as a guy, anyways?
It's a difficult one, because we've made mistakes. You look at Jeffrey Adelaide, you look at Gnabry, them kind of deals have burnt us in the past. So I always want to give young players a chance as long as they can. I think Nelson's got ability. Lack of first team football for me. I used to watch him under 23s. I mean, you probably watch more youth team football than me at Arsenal. He looked like a superstar every time I used to watch this guy. Like for England under 21s, Arsenal under 23s. Again, I've seen improvements, but I'm just not seeing quite enough. I want to see him run at the fullback more. I want to see more crosses put in the box. I want to see shots. It's difficult. Do you loan them out or do you keep him around as a squad player? I kind of feel like with Nelson, I would keep him around because Arteta's worked wonders at Man City with wingers. I know Sterling and Sam.
The English youngest sort of one, isn't it?
Yeah, they're on another level. I get that, but I think Arteta can coach him, and we've got a lot of football this year. We're in League Cup, FA Cup, Europa League. Them guys can play all them Europa League. It's football to be played. So I would keep Nelson around, but the thing is, I think apart from Saka this year, what young player has really grabbed his opportunity?
Yeah, Martinelli when it came.
Martinelli when he came, you know what I mean? Because as young players at the top level, how often do you get an opportunity to get that amount of games at a top club? It doesn't happen often. Look at Man City, Foden is their only one, and even he doesn't get that much football. So, Joe, Eddie, Reiss, these guys have played a lot of football this year, and I don't really think any of them have really said, listen, you're going to have to involve me all the time. So
do you know what I think it is? Bro? I agree with you. And the saddest thing is when you see the Greenwoods, the Sakas, it makes it harder because people are like, why aren't you doing that? I think why it looks even more reason is because of that. And it's because there's so many in the squad. I think all of them are going to take time. And I just feel like what you were saying off air, it's like the sad reality is some men are not going to make it here. And there's different tiers. Like some men are gonna do Martinelli and Saka and probably be first names on the team sheet. Some men, you have to be the rotation and squad guy and stuff. Some of you are gonna get clipped. Only time will tell. But I agree with what you said. Like none of them have grabbed their opportunities. I feel Emil wasn't probably ready mentally because you look at Everton away, he probably wasn't ready. Clearly, Joe is showing something because even you'd argue now, Joe, at a point, Jeffrey Adelaide and other people that are more naturals in that position haven't been played there. So there must be a mandate by the club to play them. I meant to ask you, do you think it's a confidence issue with Reiss Nelson? Do you think he's one of them confidence players?
Definitely strikes me as that. I mean, when you step out of the environment where he was like one of the golden boys, let's be honest. England under 21s and Arsenal 23s. He was one of the top boys. When you've got that much belief in you and then you come in the first team, and it is difficult for a young player to come into a team that's
ahead of Saka in that start of the season.
You get me? He was ahead of him.
Nearly nowhere to be seen, really and truly.
And that might have even held Nelson back because Saka came under the radar, so the pressure's not the same. We all kind of looked at Nelson and thought, come on, people were even comparing him to Sancho, bruv. That's how mad it was. And
the Jack Wilshere, with him and Emil, people saying it's the best talent since Jack Wilshere and that. Yeah. And to be fair, it did look like that, and I still maintain all the belief in Nelson. But go on, my guy.
Yeah, so it's difficult for him. As a young player, you want a settled environment to play and you want to build partnerships. Nelson's a right winger. You want to build a partnership with the right back. We haven't had a steady right back this year. We've had Ainsley and Bellerin, Cedric. Everyone's played a right back.
Artist doing a little job there.
Doing a thing there. So For me, you know, keep Nelson around for another year. Keep Willock around. Eddie, I mean, they'll probably keep Eddie around. You can see that Arteta likes him. The crazy thing was, I remember, you know, when Eddie got sent off against, was it Leicester?
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself at the time, I was annoyed that it got sent off, but it sounds bad, but I was kind of thinking, I'm glad that Lacazette now has got the free run at it, because I was actually thinking, you know what? Like, I can see Arteta playing Eddie ahead of Lacazette in the FA Cup, like
which he was doing in that,
which he was doing. So it kind of gave Lacazette the opportunity, because I think Lacazette finished the season well. Like
he finished it strongly, and that helps inflate his numbers a bit for the collective season, because he's gone mad periods of not scoring and actually just losing his confidence at times.
Yeah. So I think that helped Lacazette in that sense, but. Yeah, maybe Eddie I would loan out. The other guys I would keep and give them a chance. There's a lot of football to be played. Smith Rowe come back. I think he looks an exciting prospect to me, and I think that loan spell would have done him a lot of good, man.
Let me ask you a question on that, because like me and you both know, we talk about, you know, a Partey coming a box-to-box composing figure. We speak about centre half. We speak about all the dynamic stuff. But me and you both know, as vital to that is being able to do the final ball, and Arteta knows it. When you look at that 10 position now, we've covered Joe Willock. We've previously spoken about, you know, Willian. I probably expect him to play on the flanks, but there's a good chance he will play in that 10. You've obviously got Ceballos on loan, but let's just focus on the players that are here. So Willian, Emil Smith Rowe, Joe Willock. Let's just assume based on what we've seen, you know, we know Emil can play on the flanks and stuff, but is that 3 credible options as a 10 for you? How do you feel about that being our creative options right now on paper? Because we ain't signed nobody. If something happens, it changes.
Yeah, I don't mind them options, you know. As you said, Joe in the 10, I'm not really a big fan of that. I think, as you said, I think when he drives and the game's in front of him, he's a better player as more of an 8. Willian, you know, I do think can play 10 for us, because I see him as the modern day 10. Like the back in the day 10 was the Mesut Ozil, David Silva, small, creative, pick a pass. Now you want that guy now who can turn and open the game up quickly, man. I think Willian with the driving runs, and he can shoot from distance. He can pick a pass, little 1-2s. You know, I think that'll be good, and Smith Rowe as well, because if Willian's out wide, I think Smith Rowe can go in there. I think he's going to be good this season. Honestly, I like what I saw. I watched him a few times, Huddersfield, and I thought he looks like he's learning a lot from this loan.
Mentally, he's ready now. He understands this is football. This is what it means now. Man, have to fight and that.
And that's it, bro. The Championship, I'm telling you, that is one of the hardest leagues in the world to play in. You know,
maybe earn the right to play.
You got on the right. That is hard, bro. Like, that is a hard league, and you know he would have learned a lot, man. He knows what men's football is about now. So
let me ask you something, because you mentioned men's football and you mentioned the Championship. You made me ask you a question. Do you think our players suffer from a culture shock? Because I won't say Arsenal players are one-dimensional, but you look at Chelsea's young players, and you've got composing figures. Like, you've got Loftus-Cheek, you can play as well as, for want of a better word, fight. Arsenal is like, even if they're tall or small, apart from Saka, they're not really rugged. They're not really, you know, we're all pretty footballers and stuff. Do you think it's, and ultimately we can only prepare footballers for how we want to play and how we want to do things and our ethos. But do you think our players suffer a culture shock now when you're used to being on the ball and stuff like that? Because even Tyrese John-Jules, I love him as a young striker, because I think he's got the perfect blend of the Arsenal stuff, but due to his genetics, he's very physical. So I think when watching him at Lincoln, I think he played quite well. But if I was him, I would have been frustrated because the ball's not on the floor enough and you're not getting to show everything. So it's like, are we in a culture shock? Because you can't go from playing a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 to suddenly, you know, flat 4-4-2, we're fighting, we're doing this, we're doing that. Like, do they suffer from a culture shock for you?
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, I've got strong opinions on under 23 football. I think it should be scrapped.
Yeah, man.
I think under 23 should be scrapped. I think the gap between that and first team football, especially in the Premier League, is too big. You know, I've watched under 23s. I've been involved in it when I was younger. I think it's rubbish. It's close to non-contact almost. You know, that's how, you know, players are so, you know, structured to play a certain way. You look at Chelsea, a lot of their young players go out on loan, they go abroad, you know, unless an exceptional one who, you know, you can go straight in. I know like Gilmore came straight in, but Lampard's hands were tied a little bit. A lot of these guys probably wouldn't have played if the transfer ban.
Wasn't for the transfer ban and some injuries and stuff, but they got chances.
I mean, because to me, I look at Willock, Nelson, Eddie, all of them to me have all got potential, but they're all kind of in a stage where you can't look at any of them. Yeah, they're raw. You look at all three of them and think, will they all be at Arsenal in 2 years' time, 3 years' time? I honestly don't know. One good year and Joe Willock could explode. I remember at the start of the season, people were saying, yo, Joe Willock could get in the England squad. For
like he had a period, it's the consistency, because he had a period where he genuinely deserved to be the first name on the team sheet. I'm pretty sure there was one good game against, there was one in the cup, he scored a banger. But I remember, if I remember rightly, Liverpool away in the league, I think he played very well. It's just about consistency and performance, because it comes down for me, confidence. It's sad to say, and I'm not saying this is Arteta, but you played football to a high level than me. You know yourself, there'll be a manager who will pick this steady Eddie. He knows 10 games, I'm getting a 5 out of 10. He knows it's mediocre, but he knows I'm getting that, so he can have some confidence. He might not go for a Joe where you're going to be a 6 1 week, 7 2 0.5, can't even rate your thing the next week. It's the consistency thing. But oh my God, man.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. And that's it. Managers go with that safety sometimes. And that's the difficult, because the pressure's so high on these managers. And that's why I, in the end, was kind of happy that we got in the Europa League, because I saw it as an opportunity that you can put these young players in on a good platform. You know, when you're playing against a team from somewhere in Europe in the Europa League, they're up for it. It's a big game for them. It's competitive. I think that helped Saka. It helped Martinelli. You know, Martinelli was banging in goals. Saka
at Frankfurt away.
Frankfurt, there you go. So for me, it's a big season for them. What I would do now, personally, right, because I think Eddie and those guys were being chucked right at the front of the queue, and I would just pull them back a little bit now. I would say, you know what? We're not going to put as much pressure on Eddie now. Maybe we'll use him a little bit more sparingly in the league, and we'll use him in all the Europa League games and give them time to develop, you know, full pre-season, show them the clear plan of how
as well, man. You get these guys breathe, man.
Let them breathe a bit, because sometimes, you know, as a young player, you don't need all that pressure on your shoulders. And, you know, look at Saka at the end of the season. He hardly played.
He looked tired. He was actually unfortunate, I believe, to lose his place, because he should have played in the FA Cup to back a season. But I understood it, because other players were playing well, and he did look knackered. And as much as I believe when you're young, you know, you're good to go. You want to play games. You're good. We need to be careful, because there is burnout. There is loss of form. And I always talk in my videos about the honeymoon stage. It's all, with all reason. I'm not saying Saka didn't go through any adversity, but it's all going right for Saka. It's like a Wobie and Maitland at that point. You burst through, everybody's singing your praises. There's going to come a time where people are going to say, I don't care that you're young anymore, or this and that. And Saka's going to go through periods of bad form. Everything he's touching now turns to gold. There's going to be a time where it isn't. Martinelli the same. And I hope fans keep that same energy and remember they're young. That's why I don't mind them being pulled away. Like you with Eddie, it's like almost through a mixture of Eddie playing well and Lacazette's poor form and us needing to use the options we've got. Eddie's kind of been elevated into another first team status. And don't get me wrong, I believe he's earned that to a degree. You know, he's backed himself, because most people would have said, you know, you can't play at Leeds. How you playing at Arsenal? He's kept Lacazette out the side. So there's something in him. But for me, in the role Eddie's at now, I'm looking at you. You should be a 10 goal in the league, man. Sort of similar figures in all comps. You know, you're a rotation man. You're a squad player. But when you come in, you're gonna score goals. So you're fully backed on that, man. Let me move on quickly, because I've done Jack a disservice. We've been speaking about 10.5. He says thoughts on Gabriel. For me personally, Jack, I like Gabriel, man. I think there's an element of rawness to his game. I like that he likes to step out and be aggressive, but at times that can cost you. Positioning is good, but it can improve. But I like him. He likes to defend. He's decent in the air. He can ball play, can play on the left-hand side. 30 million euros, if we haven't got money, is all up for us. You know, he's young, so there's resale value. And plus, when you look at, you know, Martinez is 27, Leno is a similar age. Tierney is 22. This guy's in his early 20s. You know, Saliba's a teenager. Maitland or Bellerin, if they do stay, are in their early 20s. So there's youth and resale value that will help us and benefit us. And obviously with Arteta, you'd imagine, obviously we're not going to have the same squad for like 5 years, but we underestimate stability. Look at them Liverpool, man. When they finally got that squad, they've got their own questions to rebuild, but that squad's been together for a minute with a couple of exceptions. We need that. Coaching and stability are two things very underrated. It's not always about new signing. It's about improving what you have more time. What's your thoughts on if he'll be a success at Arsenal, and if Gabriel's obviously a baller in that, Curtis, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, I echo your thoughts there, bro. You got it bang on. I mean, he fits the profile of what we're looking for. He's 22. He's big. He's strong. He's imposing. You know, he can play out from the back. He is a little bit raw, as you said. I think what Arsenal fans have to understand is we're not signing Van Dijk. We're not signing the finished article who's going to come in and just fix our back foot.
And be the Messiah. It's a process.
You know what I'm saying? If you play Gabriel and Saliba next season, they're going to make mistakes. There's going to be times they go for a ball and they miss it. It's a process at the moment. We're making steps forward in the right direction. I think he more fits the profile of where we're going. It's a younger defender who we can coach, who will improve. He's strong. He wants to win the ball. And I would much rather we're signing a player like this than signing a Socrates who's 32, who looks kind of washed up. Do you know what I mean? At least we're building. If you got Tierney, you got Gabriel, you got Saliba, you got potentially, I don't know, Bellerin at right back. You've got a back four there at a good age that can develop together, can learn. And I think your Liverpool point's bang on, bro, because Klopp got that team together quickly and then let them grow. He's not even signing many players at the moment. You know, he realizes the importance of, growing together. So I'm for this Gabriel signing. I can't honestly say I've seen loads of him. But from what I've seen, he does look good. And I think, for 30 million euros, you can't get a lot for that in the modern market. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, bro, I'm all for it as well. And that ties me up to this question. Alan said, why do we not look at championship players? Are they expensive? And it can, there are some bargains to be had in the championship still. Like, it sounds silly, but Robertson was in the lower leagues and whatnot. I don't think he's in the championship. He was in Scotland. Same goes for Van Dijk. There is a beauty in not only the championship, but looking at Scotland and looking at other places. And I think that's where you've got to look at people at ability. When it came to Van Dijk, he's in Scotland and all of them things. You can get on to Harry Maguire and banter Harry Maguire, but at a point, he was in the championship, He's turned out to be a decent purchase. I personally think there's bargains to be had, and especially when you look at the young players, And I think Arsenal at that chance, we might have to start taking risks. You look at Eze. QPR apparently only want £15 million. I don't mind the signing of Willian, but surely, Eze might not hit the ground running as much as Willian, but surely Eze, if he gets it wrong, you're making your 15 back. There's resale value. Like, I'm not comparing it directly to Willian, but I don't mind taking gambles. Ben-Rama, he's different because he's mid-20s now. Take a chance. Obviously, they're saying 30 million. There's almost no margin for error, but yeah, man, what do you think of championship players, man? Because you obviously watch it a lot. You mentioned Emile Smith-Rowe and watching Huddersfield. Do you think there's bargains to be had? Is there any players you'd have in mind that could be looked at, if any?
No, there's definitely players there that could do a job in the Premier League. I think the difficulty with management now is the fans are kind of snobby nowadays. If we was to sign a guy from the Championship, is that going to be welcomed? Are the fans going to celebrate that? I feel like they'll already be on the guy's back from day one, And this is the problem. Like, if we would have signed a
reputation in that,
yeah, like you got to be, and like you said, Ben Rama, they want 25, 30 million. That you can probably go into Europe and get someone for 25, 30 million. So it's risky in that sense. I like Phillips at Leeds. I know they just got promoted, but that Phillips, he looks like a good player, man. As you said, that Easy at QPR. I'm all for those kind of deals, man. If you see enough talent there, as we know, it's not where you start, man. I say this all the time, bro.
Yeah.
I played against Vardy in non-league. At the time then, you're going to say, what, in 5 years, this guy's top goal scorer in the Premier League?
Yeah.
You would have never guessed that.
You would have never guessed that. So you never know.
Sometimes give him a chance, man. I'm all for it.
Give him a chance. You actually never know. And there is deals to be had. It all comes down to scouting. You look at what's his name? Is it Ben White of Leeds? He can play everywhere across the back three as well as playing in defensive mid. Brighton Leeds were interested because apparently he played against them for Newport on loan, whatever division Newport was, and now they've got one. I think before, obviously within reason, you've got to look at the leagues they're playing in, but sometimes a baller, there's competencies, there's ability, and I think sometimes man can't always see that a player is not good enough right now but he can do a job. And I believe that with Norwich's Ben Godfrey, I think he shows his class at times. He makes silly mistakes than others. I'm not saying he can be world class, but I think he's a man that if you trained, if you churned out the tough edges around him, you could get a decent centre half. Really get a decent centre half. We've got someone who's got something to say in relation to our Lacazette comments, and let's look at it. You guys aren't giving Lacazette enough respect. I bet money Auba's goal record will decrease if Lacazette is sold. I agree partly with that, my guy, because they link up very well together. But I disagree because Aubameyang is a man who is going to score goals. He scored goals without Lacazette. He scored it as a super sub. He scored it through the middle. He scored it on the left. Please don't get us mistaken. We respect Lacazette's thing. Like people are saying, the only reason I'm entertaining selling him is because of the contract and re-investigating sort of what we can do with the funds around that. We need him. There's games where it's not going to happen for Aubameyang. Hold up play, link up play, Lacazette being on it in big games, the way he presses. You need that over a 38-game calendar. So I don't think you're being right with that. We're giving him respect, but I think I speak for Curtis as well. When we love Lacazette, we praise him, but at some level, you got to call a spade a spade. He is good enough to score 20 league goals. There's always a reason as to why Lacazette can't get 20 league goals. He needs more service. He needs this and that. I'm not trying to get him, but Aubameyang does that, you know. Rain, sunshine, hailstone, he's scoring goals. So what's the difference? Like, and again, I'm not using it as a stick to beat Lacazette. It's just the thing is, Lacazette is not the man to be the sole striker. If he was, we probably wouldn't have even got Aubameyang. Because if Lacazette only was scoring, would we have got him?
There you go. You got it bang on, bro. I'm telling you, we talk about this all the time. I love Lacazette. I know you do as well. He represents Arsenal in the right way. He works. He's passionate. You can see his celebrations. But the reality is, bro, we signed him for £50 million to score goals because we recognise that with Olivier Giroud scoring 10 to 15, that wasn't enough. That wasn't going to get us where we needed to get. We bought him for 50 million to score goals, and he scored 10 league goals this season. Now, whether you like him or not, that is not enough. And that's why I think Arsenal will entertain offers for him. Maybe at times he does link up well with Aubameyang, and I do think they have got a good partnership. But, you know, I think Aubameyang will score goals even if Lacazette isn't there. There's been times where Eddie started with Aubameyang and he still scored goals. So, you know, you can't just say that, you know, we need to keep him because of Aubameyang. I like Lacazette, I would keep him, but them numbers have to go up, man. Danny Ings is scoring 22 goals, bro. Yeah. Danny Ings, you know.
Bro, Lacazette is a bad boy striker. Look at the finishes. Like, I remember when Arsenal fans, and I even believed it to myself, when we used to say Lacazette is a more clinical striker than Aubameyang because he might score less, but he's taking less shots. I get that. I agree with that logic. Taking less shots, scoring more goals, you sound more clinical. But, you know, by the same logic, strikers are all about the raffle. You keep scoring. Aubameyang, we all know Aubameyang's a quality player, and it doesn't get spoken about because he's a bad boy, but he misses some bookie shots sometimes. Aubameyang misses a madness, but he gets his head. He's like, say nothing. It's coming again. I'm going to score.
Coming. Yeah.
That's it. You say and he clocks the angles to be in. And I think people underestimate Aubameyang's intelligence as well, especially when the way he starts runs. I don't even think we play to Aubameyang's strength. So imagine if we did. It's like what my man is saying as well. Some players are late bloomers, but, you know, going back to the Lacazette point, we just have to call a spade, fam. When we signed Lacazette, if you told me we'd not score 20 league goals in this league, I would have called you a liar. Because he's a bad boy striker. You look at his catalogue of goals, you know, goal of the season contender the other week against Spurs. He's a sick striker. But over a 38-game period, Lacazette's thing is he goes in spells. He goes through good goal-scoring spells, and then he goes through bad spells. He's never maintained being, like, consistently good on all fronts. Sometimes he's playing well but not scoring. Sometimes he's scoring but playing dead. Very rarely, for me anyways, is it both married together sort of thing over a long period of time. So we just, I know it's hard to stay, man, because me and Curtis went through this. We had to admit it to ourselves. We used to say, no, man, you're chatting shit about Lacazette. But like this season, he's shown he's not the 20 league man, but I still love Lacazette, man.
It's true, man. You just gotta see it for what it is, man. There's a reason why, you know, France don't call him up, you know, why, you know, it's the reality, innit? You can like him, you can be emotional. We all like Lacazette, but, you know, it is what it is. 10 goals speaks for itself, man.
Exactly. It speaks for itself, bro. Like, if someone else scored that, we'd be laughing. We'd be saying it's a joke thing. Like, Lacazette is good enough to score. Obviously, Lacazette, every player is replaceable. If you can bring me a next striker who is going to score like, who's gonna get the returns that Lacazette is gonna get and more, then I'm all cool for that, man. But we didn't pay for Lacazette to score 50 league goals. I'm doing a couple guys dirty. Apologies, my guy TD Shifts. I didn't mean to miss it. I was clicking on it and it wasn't coming. I definitely didn't miss your super chat.
Be patient with him, man. He's new on it.
Thank you very much for your kind donations, and we've got another one, man. This talent is fucking. Ooh, I don't want to swear, but keep up the grind. I appreciate that, man. All right, Daniel, you've got a good question, and that one there got lost, but I felt it tied in perfectly to what me and you were speaking about. Would you like to obviously, Curtis? Would you obviously like to see Arsenal use the buyback clause when selling young talent as much as they probably could? Because I don't know the laws around that, depending on where we sell players and all of these things. It is what it is. So
I think, listen, man, when you're watching Champions League, bro, and you're looking at Gnabry, then you know that if you can put that buyback clause in there, you've got to put that in, bro, because you can't afford to make mistakes like that. I mean, if Bayern sold Gnabry now, what's he going for? 60, you reckon? You know, he's
probably it's probably 70, 80, because you look at Usman Dembele, if he went for 100.
Yeah, come on.
Playing in this dirt, so I don't think you can afford him. Obviously, cold with him. I don't think I'll be saying 100 because
for real,
Gnabry's a bit underrated in that regards. It's like people rate him, but they don't take in how good he is. The movement, the goals, ability to play everywhere. What he must be max 25, so he's in his best. We sold him for probably 3.5 million and a handshake. And when you consider that, our other lad, Jeffrey Adley, came on for Lyon and was involved somewhat in one of the goals. Benatia is going from strength to strength, obviously in Milan. You know, everybody can make it here, and everyone always wants to look at the players that are not involved in all of these sort of things. But it's not always about that. I just look at the resale value. You know, Daniel Martin, we should be getting 40 million for Gnabry or playing him. We should have been getting the Benatia piece. So I definitely think we should insert buyback clauses. And if not buyback clauses, heavy sell-ons, bro.
Heavy sell-ons all day.
Bro, it's fact. I've got another super chat. I don't know what's going on, guys, with the super chats, but it's not letting me bring this one up. But Bakuta has said, do you think we are in danger of losing Arteta to Barca or Madrid if we don't back him? They need a coach, and he is a young Spanish dynamic coach. Curtis, that's the one for you, bro.
I think we're all right at the moment. I think they're going in a different direction. Maybe in a year or two, you know. But he's a Barcelona boy, isn't he? So eventually, you wouldn't be surprised if Barcelona came knocking for Arteta in a year or two. Right now, you know, he's only just started managing. I know they need a manager now, but I don't think they'll be coming. And Real Madrid, I don't see them going for a Barcelona boy. So, yeah, but maybe in the future, Barcelona.
Do you see what it is for me? I rate Arteta. I think Arteta's going straight to the top, Daniel. But I think, you know, we have to discount a bit of Arteta. And what I mean by that is he's done a fantastic job. He's come in, you know, few people would have expected the FA Cup. I know people can say it's only an FA Cup and we've got several things, but he's turned it around. But I think what we need to remember is he's still relatively a novice. He's earning his stripes, but we don't know what he's really good at, what he isn't good at. We haven't really learned that much about Arteta, and we're only going to learn that through a full course of a season. We don't know his bad habits. You know, Wenger was a quality manager, but we came to learn, you know, you might not get subbed on before the 60th minute. He's not changing his style for anybody. You know, there's going to be negative and positive traits we're still yet to find. So it is quite early to be speaking about them jobs. And, you know, you look at the dynamic of Arsenal and the changes, it's still not been a success here. So how could he go to Barcelona, you know, where it's even more of a circus above him and really shine there? So I think, you know, he's still developing. He's still learning the game himself. Like I said, Arteta's going to make mistakes. I'm pretty sure if any of us if we could speak to him, you know, he might say something. He's made mistakes this year. I'm pretty sure. Curtis, can you remember the game? We and you were speaking about it. It was like he made some changes we didn't agree with, and we felt the players gave it away. But I remember I remember speaking to you about it. I can't remember it, man. You probably won't either. But we said Arteta, he started this guy when he shouldn't have. So he's made a mistake. So we still need to be easy with him. We've got another one. Thank you again, TD Shifts. He said, and let's not let me bring it up, my dude. He said, well, we've got there, man. Hey, you lot are moving mad. But he said, I've watched Gabriel Leo, and he's a good playing centre-half, which Arteta wants. He's a leader, which Arteta wants, and a good passer, which Arteta wants. And he can play out from the back, and he's quick. Fully facts, my guy. Fully facts. The next one is said, and TD Shister said, and I also love you guys from Australia. Curtis and Deluded, most underrated fans on AFTV. Thank you for your positive
Big up
words,
to
man.
these shifts,
Big up
man.
yourself, man. Thank you very much. And you're putting in a shift because you lot are like 10 hours ahead. Like you should be winding down, yet you're here. So like, big up everyone, man. Everyone that's in the UK, you know, Australia, Jamaica, wherever you are watching this, man, all over Africa, wherever you are, man. The beauty of YouTube and football is that we're all connected and listening to this because of our love for football and whatnot, man. Let's go through some other stuff, really and truly. In fact, Curtis, because you lot have been giving so many good questions. I've been getting ahead of myself. I actually have something for you. As you know, Tim Lewis, we spoke about this, the lawyer who's been brought in to conduct an audit. As you know, since this guy has come in, there's no coincidence at youth level and at first team level, there's been several job cuts, whether we owe it down to COVID or streamlining. Now, he's allegedly a member or, you know, a lifelong Arsenal fan. So I hope with being a lawyer, he's got the football mind on his brain. But apparently he's a close ally of the Cronkays, and they go back, and he's advised him all the way from the initial coming into 2007 to now. And it's been described as he's essentially eyes on the London ground, really. He's a Cronkays eyes where they're not. How does that make you feel? What does that tell you?
I mean, he obviously must have looked here. I think you look back at last summer. You remember when all the fan groups came together and they did the whole, you know, we care, do you? And then all of a sudden the Pepe deal and these deals started happening. So I feel like the fan pressure made Kroenke, you know, loosen up the money a little bit. He's probably then looked at it from a business point of view and said, hang on a minute, we finished 8th. We've had 3 managers. I've had to pay Unai Emery to leave because let's face it, these guys get paid when they get sacked.
Yeah, they leave.
He's probably looked at it and thought, you know what? I've just bought the most expensive player in Arsenal history, and we got worse. And I'm not saying it was Pepe's fault.
But it's like you shouldn't be. The logic doesn't almost make sense.
The logic doesn't make. I mean, do you know that on paper that was Arsenal's most expensive transfer window ever last summer?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
You don't know that.
And we got worse. So he's probably looked at him and thought, yo, man, something's going wrong here. I need to get someone in, get him to look at the books and the transfers. And he's probably, you know, said to Kroenke, look, man, you've got 10 people in positions doing one person's job. You can get rid of people and you can save money. You know, every business in the world is going to look at their books right now and say, how can I save money? It's the reality.
It's about the balance book. It's about the balance sheet. It's about being in the green or being in the red. And it's like, you look at it, I personally feel, I don't know if it's, as a fan, I feel Raul lost his job over failing to deliver. But when you look at the dealings, when you hear that allegedly we overpaid for Leno, in a sense, Torreira as well, Pepe, and several other things like that, is it any coincidence Raul Sanches lost his job? Because they probably thought about this. That's several examples potentially of incompetence. And you're on a respectable wage, to put it nicely. You're sitting at the helm. So it's like, how can I look at you and think you really do your job? If I just read this to you, Curtis, because I like to give you a bit of grounding. It's from courtesy of The Athletic. It said, how significant is Tim Lewis to all this? Sources close to Arsenal board said there was no chance this change would have taken place without the influence of Lewis, who was appointed to the board as a non-executive director on July the 1st. A lifelong Arsenal fan, Lewis, at London-based law firm Clifford Chance, he is highly regarded as one of the leading managers and acquisitional lawyers, leading mergers and acquisitional lawyers in the world, and spent 4 years advising Stan Kroenke on his investment into Arsenal from his initial share purchase in 2007 to his takeover in 2011. Lewis's appointment was intended to give the KSE some eyes on the ground in London. The Athletic has been told Josh Kroenke, who had been fairly frequent visitor to Arsenal before the pandemic, is understood to have felt frustrated at not being able to continue overseeing the club affairs in person. Lewis was also tasked with helping oversee an audit of Arsenal spending across all departments, a process contributed directly to redundancies Arsenal have announced.
Listen, man, I don't mind this because I think the problem with Arsenal for a while, when you look at the money that we've spent, it's like there's been no connection from Kroenke, where the money's starting, to where the money's ending up. So this Lewis guy is kind of the guy in the middle. You know, when it was Kroenke to Wenger, he had total control. Him and Gazidis were doing stupidness. Then you've got Sanelli, who looks like he's been doing his, as I called it, you know, the brown the brown envelopes.
We all got to get paid and that. We all got to get little jib and that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why Sanelli said, when I knock, it's different, man, because, there's an envelope.
Yeah. I might lock the door, but I slide something under that door.
Like the postman, fam. Man said, yo.
I told man that Raul Sanllehi was talking like he's, when you watch them Pablo Escobar documentaries and Escobar said silver or lead, which sort of thing do you want? That seems like what Raul Sanllehi was on, man, thing. And then and then you had the Michelin tat where you had the scouting thing. And even though I don't believe in Glaziders was brought here to do the stat DNA thing to lead us into it. For me, it's concerning because you've tried the Michelin tat stars of tomorrow thing. You've tried the Raul. I've been at Barcelona. I've been around the block. Everybody knows me in the game. Glaziders, we've done the book smart, balance sheet, relying on FFP thing. We've done 3 things and 2 of them have been in recent years and they haven't worked. So what does that tell you for you, my guy? Because that's 3 different models that ain't worked. And for me, with this latest one, collaboration is always going to be a thing. But for me, is it like, do you agree where it's like this collaboration thing has been lost then? Because, we had Raul Sanllehi, Hos Farme, Edu, and then a head coach. We had sort of different experts in several positions, skilled with obviously leading collaboration. And Bearman have gone, and it seems that we hear Arteta and Edu are now in charge of transfers. So have we gone back to within reason what Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger had in that we're in charge of this thing?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, bro. I think it just shows the lack of direction in the club. They've tried to make different things work, and none of them seem to have worked. And it's like they've just reverted back to what they did in the first place. Like, just give it to Edu and Arteta. The only reason that I'm more hopeful about this situation is because you're giving it to 2 football people. You're giving it to 2 people who played for Arsenal. They know what this club needs and what it requires. Gazidis knew nothing about football. I'm sorry. He was a businessman. He knew nothing. Arsene Wenger never moved with the modern game. He was a great back in the day in the Wenger, that kind of Ferguson era, but he never moved. He never moved
to football. Go on.
You know what I mean? He never moved. And then Raul Sanllehi, as I say, he's like he's moving like a mafia boss, Barcelona. We can't swim with sharks. We're Arsenal, man. We don't. Unfortunately, we've probably got the money, but we don't spend money like that in the market. So that whole style doesn't work for us. So now you've got Edu, you've got Arteta, 2 football people who understand what it is. To me, Arteta, if you're going to be a success, then I want you to have a lot of control over who you're signing. I'm all for that, because if this don't work, I don't want to hear no excuses. So for me, it's down to you now. My only worry is, Arteta seems to, Edu seems to, have a lot of connection with this Joorabchian guy as well.
That's his agent, cuz. That's his agent.
Boy. That's his boy. And if you read about Joorabchian, he's all there on Google, man. He's been involved in Inter Milan before and stuff. I see a thing where they were saying he was in control of transfers, they said at one stage at that club. So he seems to be one of these guys that, he gets his feet under the table, man. So we got to be careful in that sense. But as I always say, what we've been doing hasn't working. So if we try something else, why not? Why not go for it?
And you see, for me, why I'm a bit positive with Edu and Arteta is because they're both kind of new to their roles. I know Edu did his thing with the Brazilian national team. But you see, for me, Edu, I get a bit of Bayern Munich around him. Now, I want to be careful after Glaziders made Bayern Munich comments. I'm not saying...
yeah, exactly.
Not any. But you see, Bayern Munich, you look at their positions. If they haven't necessarily been former players, they're they're lawyers or agents or whatever they are, but they're footballing men. Like, they understand this thing. And I get a bit of that with Edu. It's like he said things like, he likes to be part of the team. He likes to travel with the team and feel the emotion. Now, when you're feeling the emotion, surely you take it. I know he's not playing, but he's been in the locker room. You take it a bit more personal. There's a bit more of an urgency in things like that to get things done. And to be fair, I'm not going to lie to you. For me, the jury's still out on Edu. Because as a fan, I'm yet to be told exactly what you've done. And obviously, as much as I love you and want to give you a chance because you're a former player, man hasn't really seen anything. And it's like, now it's just you and Arteta in charge of transfers. Rightly or wrongly, like the blame is coming to you. Like, all the successes are, but the blame is. And I think they've got to relish that. They've answered this question, and I don't want to forget him, man. Tanaka, forgive me for the mispronunciation. You have said, would you take Cantwell to Arsenal? He's a young player with great potential. I think he would shine under Arteta. For the right money, I would. He'd complement our side well. He wouldn't take it to the next level, but he'd complement it well and help us in that regards. Curtis, what are you saying?
Cantwell, he's a good player. I don't think I'd be on him too much because I don't think Norwich would let him go for cheap. You know, he's going to be 20 million plus, isn't he? Like,
what's the right price tag for you?
If you could get him for 15, but he's not.
You're really on your Wenger thing now.
Yeah, I'm moving. No, do you know what it is? I look at Cantwell. I think he's, Smith Rowe, them kind of players there. I'm not bringing in a Cantwell to block them, man. It's not like he's a top level player. I like Buendia, is it at Norwich?
Yeah.
He's a good little player. Norwich have got some good players, man. Aaron's and them man there. So Godfrey, as you said, but yeah, Cantwell. He would have to be cheap for me. I wouldn't be desperate to get him.
It's not the end of the world. Somebody said we're looking. Obviously, Arsenal seem to be blessed with youngsters, with Eddie, Tyrese, John Jules, and Balogun. They've said DJ and Curtis. Why aren't we giving Balogun a first team chance when he's light years better than Eddie, sharp and clinical, will score more goals than Lacazette? I agree.
I wanted to actually ask you about this guy because I know you know a lot about these young players, right?
You know what it is with Balogun? I feel Balogun. I should do a video on this. I think he's been done a bit dirty. I don't think he's he is good in it. He's certified, but fans gas up players in it. So he's not on the level most fans gas him up. I do think he's underrated. I don't know why he's not necessarily rated within the club to train with the first team. He's underrated to the point where he wasn't even nominated for under 23 player of the year. It was won by Curtis Jones, who deserved it. Terrorized players, but he wasn't even nominated, and he scored goals for fun. I think Balogun has shown he can score goals. He can mix it up. He can make runs for the sake of it. He can be on the last shoulder. He can drop. I just think he's not currently at the level some fans think, and I think the club's probably looking at it is it's not that deep. If he's going to be a player of tomorrow, cool. But we've got Eddie. Tyrese is a bit younger. If Tyrese and Balogun don't make it, we should be making 20 million a piece on them. I just feel there's not enough urgency from the club to give him a chance. I think he is underrated, but I don't think he's as good as people make out. I do think he's ready for first team football. And the club probably looking at it. If we can get 8 to 20 million for him, he's technically never played for the first team. How much does it cost to keep this academy alive? And we've got to make a decision because he's got a year left. I think he's a good player. I definitely would have thought he would have been on the bench when, Eddie had his whole, suspension and Lacazette's poor form. I definitely feel he's a good player, man. He's definitely got a big future ahead of himself. And like I've said, if I'm any top German team or any other English team, with the whole, I'm not saying he's Jadon Sancho, but finding English players and making a flip for them, Balogun's up your street. If I'm Brentford, I'm getting him. I think he's ready to be in the first team environment. I'm not saying it means starting week in, week out. He needs to be in that environment to earn that shirt, to score against grown men, because he's of that level. It's easy for him at 23s. He's ahead of everyone with thoughts. He can score all sorts of goals. It becomes easy. Obviously, when you get the occasional first team footballer that's struggling for minutes and plays 23s, you might play against someone physical, but it's too good for him. When you're faster than everybody, stronger than everyone, you've got link-up play, everyone else in your team's a baller. You're not learning. And that's probably why he's frustrated. If I'm him, I leave. If I can't see a pathway, go and leave. He needs to be selfish because Arsenal get him a deal. What would happen? He signs a 3-4 year deal. He doesn't make it. Arsenal say, all right, cool, F off. You're going to make us some peace. He needs to be selfish in his development. But I do think fans need to keep it easy, man. What are you saying for him?
Do you know what, bro? Honestly, last year I went to a pre-season game, right, against Barnet. Because one of the coaches I know at Barnet, and he scored a hat-trick in that game. And you've probably seen it. Honestly, I'd never seen him play. I didn't know nothing about him. And honestly, that night, I was like, wow, this kid, I know this is Barnet and they're in the conference, but let's be honest, they're grown men, centre-backs.
Yeah.
The way he dealt with them, I thought to myself, I can't believe, like, this guy, for me.
He's serious, man.
I've watched him a few times in under 23s and the highlights and stuff, and he seems to score all the time. You've probably seen a lot more of him than me, so you're more qualified to answer it. But I can't understand why he hasn't been given a chance in the first.
That's something we both agree on.
Honestly, for me, I mean, whether that game was a one-off or something, I don't know. But I just see pure, raw talent there that needs the opportunity.
He can be coached into something. I really like him. I think and he can actually play a couple of other roles. He's a striker long term, but he can play on the flanks and do a job. I think Balogun's thing, there's no urgency to bring Balogun. With all due respect to Balogun, it's not like a Greenwood thing. And I think because you've got Eddie, because you've got Tyrese, because you've got Lacazette and Aubameyang currently at first team level, there's no real urgency. Listen, it's down to him to be a great player, but I definitely think it's an L if he loses. We're losing out on what could be in a couple of years a £20 million minimum player. I think he's got a big future. If I'm him, I'm not trying to play anything minimum than League One. You know, depending on what happens, because he might have to stay at Arsenal, go through the motions a bit, playing 23s, and it'll be wasted. But for me, I think if he can't get out of Arsenal a legit pathway and say, okay, this year I'm training with the first team or going out on loan. Next year I'm trying to do this or I'm doing that. He needs to either go to a German team or a lower championship team or somewhere that's going to allow him to get senior minutes. Because like you said, it's a wild thing. They're grown men. They're obviously probably not as fit and stuff, so you have to discount. But it's still the thing with Balogun. He's not scoring no fluke goals. They're calculating. Like he's meaning to do that. And a lot of his, I ain't got nothing to hand, but what I like about him, he's a difference maker in that a couple of goals he scored, it's been when we're losing to draw or to nick the win or something like that. And for me, the greatest actual improvement is what he does without scoring when he's linked up play better. Because many times I used to watch him like, you're a bad boy when you're in front of goal and you're scoring goals, but it's like it's all about what you're not doing as well. And I think he's doing his bit to become even sharper and more clinical in that regards. So it's down to the club, man. They might not see it as an L if they get their 8 to 10 million, but I think considering worse players have been given opportunities, I can't. Yeah, I'm like Curtis. I'm struggling to find a reason as to why he's not been involved in all of these sort of things. Like it doesn't thingy.
I'm looking at Balogun thinking, I feel like if they let him go, it's a mistake. I mean, just from what I've seen of him, I look at him and think, yo, man, there's something there. You've got to give him an opportunity. Do you think Eddie's better than Balogun? You've seen more of Balogun than me.
I think Eddie's more ahead. I think when you compare Tyrese, Balogun, and Eddie, I think Eddie's more ahead. I think Eddie's been exposed to the first team more. Eddie looks that bit stronger. Eddie is ahead. I think with time, if you gave Balogun these opportunities, things could be different. You know, Balogun, he might even struggle. So we don't know. I think he's definitely ahead. I think in terms of raw potential and things like that, I think it's Balogun without a doubt. There's just something. I don't think Balogun is the Greenwoods and the Sackers, but there's just something that gravitates towards Balogun. You just think if everything ticks, this guy could be decent. I love his movement, man. Like Eddie's movement's great, but this guy's movement is serious. Like he means to do it. Like you can tell he's watched that stuff. We've got a comment here, yeah. Sam Suave, big up. You said you talk about strikers without clocking what the situation at times was. It's mad to me. I think he's talking about when we consider the fact of Lacazette failing to score. And probably when we had Giroud, bro, we understand that we're factoring in that. If you listen to us, we're actually mentioning them points first. But it's like there's three sides to every story. There's that side, this story, and the truth. And it's like Lacazette has had injuries, been scapegoated, and all of these things. But at some level, there has to have been something he is or isn't doing as to why he isn't getting 20 league goals or isn't scoring consistently, my dude. That's all we're saying. That's literally it. That's literally it.
Bro, the reality is as well, it doesn't help Lacazette when Aubameyang's in the same team scoring 20 goals. Do you know what I mean? So people are always going to make that comparison. Yeah, you have to factor in circumstances, but there's reasons why, you know, Danny Ings plays for Southampton mid-table scoring 20 goals. So however bad we think we are, we're still better than them. So why is Lacazette not scoring more goals? And you know, we support Lacazette, we defend him, but he's had 3 seasons. He hasn't scored 15 league goals in 1 season. I don't think you can really hide from that.
Exactly that. There's no hiding. There's no hiding place. I'm liking the comments in relation to Balogun, guys. It seems like there's a variety of different opinions, man. Like, I love to see. This is what I love to see. Loan and promote. I think what we've just got to let them do is all develop, man. And we've all got to recognize that even if one of them makes it, it's a blessing because really the odds are stacked against them.
Yeah.
Madness. Someone said they're legit ignoring these super chats. How, bro? I'm onto the super chats, fam.
Maybe a few went by when we was talking, man. I don't know.
It's too stupid. Bro, you lot are going. This is, allow me, guys. This is hard to get and have this conversation and look over there without it clicking. Apologies, but we've got a rather serious one. You missed 2 super chats from me again, and at Steve Whitley, who has liver problems and do everything we can to raise awareness for a great channel. We both appreciate if you could give us some of your time to do a collab. That would be great. I mean, you know, you can see my email details on my YouTube. Please just hit me up or DM me and we can see what we could do, man. I've always got time for serious causes and what could be done around that, man. That's serious. And I'd like to sympathize with anyone that is going through, like yourself, any Liverpool, any liver issues or anything like that, man. That's serious. I apologize for missing that out. But like I said, DM us or DM Curtis and you'll get it to me and vice versa. Just get that one happening, man. Last couple of questions, people, because my lunch break is almost done, so we're gonna need to really spin this up. So let's find one more. Let me put this up because he's listening from Jamaica. So big up yourself. You know, I got to support the yard, man.
Yeah, man, 100.
All right, cool. We've got one question. Oh, a man said, "Wait till you man get thousands on live, bro. Allow me. Someone else will have to be answering this one. I'm really not trying to miss anyone else out. It's just mad difficult. See, even me looking at this, my eyes are away from this. Allow me. You lot screamed for. See, these lot. This is what I'm talking about.
Here he goes.
Saka and Martinelli. Yeah. You see what I'm talking about? Young, not giving people a chance to develop. You're not giving man a chance. You lot have screamed for live things. This is the second live, bro. And you lot not on me. Allow me, fam. Let man get little things. Like, come man, Walida said, if we resign Ceballos, Aubameyang and get Gabriel and Partey, where do you think we'll finish this season, Curtis?
Ceballos, Aubameyang, Gabriel and Partey. On top of Willian already, so with those guys there, I'm saying top 4. I think we're in the top 4 if we get them in.
If we get them in. For me, we're stronger at fighting for top 4. I think what I want to see as well is actual like consistency, everything, the away games, you know, the clean sheets, the not dropping points from winning positions. I think that's where I'm looking at Arteta, my guy, as well. As much as I like what he's doing, I'm looking at, can he get us playing good over a sustained time? He's shown me reason to believe that, because with all due respect to Mustafi, to all of these guys, he's got them playing well. So that leads me to believe you bring better players in, we're going to play better. But that's what I believe, my dude, man. What are you saying, Curtis, for it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going all out there. Saying you're going to get him flustered. People, you have to understand, this is only his second live here. He's getting used to it. You know, like
that is a fact. Them man are rattling me, bro. Them man allow me.
This is why they're screaming out, you need a mod, innit, to handle your comments, you know?
Yeah, mod soon come, man. Mod soon come, bro.
Mod soon come.
I know I've been on YouTube for a minute, but just the other day, I just found out what a mod was. I was reading this. I was like, what are these guys talking about mod? What's that? Like, is that somebody's name? I don't know no mod, brother. We'll get to that, man. We'll get to that, man. Fatality's killing me, man. Trust me on this. All right, cool, man. Someone give us one more question to wrap this up, man, because I've really got to get back, man.
Innit?
You lot should name this show. It's just too good. We'll get to that. We need to be a bit more consistent.
Yeah. We get to that. We get a name.
Come. So what? Give us one more question, man. Come on. Someone's got that. I know one of you have got that. Don't know, man. Everybody like
that video, man. Subscribe as well.
Man said get Troops on. Can you even get hold of Troops? Troops is always welcome, but mate, fam, you lot go spam off Troops. Man, they're Hollywood. Big up Troops, but them man, they're Hollywood. Them man there. Someone really wants Ivan Toney, bro. He keeps gassing him in the comments. I'm a big fan of that striker still in the lower league still.
He's going Brentford in here apparently.
That's a decent signing, bro. I can't lie to you. He's been kind of decent still. He deserves all of that, man. I think he's done really well.
He has done well.
All right, cool. Last question. Someone's brought something a bit different.
Go on.
Can you see us going really far in Europa this season? I personally think, bro, getting to the final should be the minimum for what this club wants to do. And for me, I think that's the biggest lesson Arteta has to learn from, because everyone focusing on Aubameyang's missing to a degree, Leno's failing save. Did that game again over the 2 legs?
Right.
The players messed it up, but did Arteta get the thing right? That's some of the games he's got to learn from. So yeah, that's how I feel. Anyways,
to me, anything less next season it depends. If we're in the top 4 and the Europa League was to fall away, it's not the end of the world. You know, we've got to either win the Europa League or get in the top 4. Those are the 2 options. And as you say, Arteta, I think he mismanaged that home leg, and he needs to learn quickly from that. But obviously, with the FA Cup win, he showed that he's adjusting in terms of cup football. So, yeah, I think it'd be nice to win the Europa League, man. You know, we need to win a European trophy. So let's be confident. If we make the right signings, we can win it.
That's it, my guy. That's it. But it's been fantastic speaking to you, man. We need to do this a bit more. Like, when do you want to do? Let's not talk across this because people are gonna mad, but it's been fantastic, man. Obviously, you lot should know about Curtis Shaw already. You should know about his YouTube channel. Make sure you hit up the YouTube and subscribe to that, and follow him across all his other socials. What else is there to plug, my guy? You know,
that's it, man. Just check out the channel, Curtis Shaw TV. Come and subscribe. Subscribe to Deluded. We're gonna try and do a show at least once a week, innit? Try and do something.
Try to do something. And people, this one was off the cuff. I'll try better, you know, let you lot know when we're trying to do it and things. I recognize you lot are busy and you lot are thinking, what the hell? Where's this live stream just randomly come from? Deluded? At least tell us. I promise you I'll get better at that, people. But for now,